Good morning, everybody. You are currently listening to a Tall Girls podcast hosted by a tall girl named India. I hope everyone who's tuning in today is doing super fantastic. Before I get into this episode, I do want to say make sure you follow me on my socials at a Tall Girls podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest so that you can stay up to date on all of the latest podcast episodes and catch a glimpse of my everyday life. Also, feel free to leave me a review and let me know how tall you are. I'm genuinely curious. And also, I have a newsletter. Make sure you sign up for that. Everything is going to be linked in the description. Y'all, I did a thing. So I volunteered to help out with the tall size event that's coming up in October. They posted it on their story. They're like, yeah, they're looking for volunteers in New York City. And I was like, hi, I exist. I'd like to help. And they literally got back to me almost right away. So I'm kind of excited. Like, wow, I'm actually going to be helping out with the event and going to the event. Like, that's so cool. I don't know. I'm kind of excited. I really can't wait to meet some of you guys. I can't wait to meet other tall women. I can't wait to meet the founders of Tall Size. Well, I don't know if Nicole is going to be there because I know that she just had her baby. So, I mean, rightfully so. She should be resting and she should be spending time with her baby. But, at least I'll get to meet Kayla. So that's like super exciting. So, yeah, I mean, why meet all the lovely tall women, the lovely tall girl community for one day when I can be with them for like 2 or 3? You know what I mean? Plus, I'm also happy to support. I really want to see this company grow into something so, so big. I mean, it's already big now, but I'd love to see it get 20, 30, 40 times bigger. So I'm excited and grateful that I can help out and support. All right, today's episode, it was actually inspired by an event that occurred recently. So I'm basically trying to upgrade my wardrobe, but like for real this time, because I know I've been saying that for probably the entirety of this podcast, the past 3 years, and I just never was able to keep up with it consistently. Number one, it was because I was trying to figure out how to like budget my money and actually be able to do that. But also, number two, I was just very disorganized. I did like a whole clean out of my wardrobe of what I currently have. I probably should have filmed that just to show you guys, but I basically got rid of most of the stuff that I have in my wardrobe and I need to replace it. So I am trying to upgrade my wardrobe. So I went to this place. It's called Loft Outlet. Here's a hack. If you want to shop like those brands that's like Ann Taylor, Loft, like those very expensive or more on the pricier side brands, they have these outlet shops where they have stuff from the previous season or last year or whatever, or basically it's just like a whole season or a whole year later. They put clothes that's from that time period into those outlet shops and they sell it for a lower price, and a lot of times it's on sale. So big hack, make sure you check out your outlet stores. But I went to Loft Outlet just to see what they had, more so tops because I knew their pants were not going to be long enough for me. Walking around, picking up stuff and just, trying to browse and explore. And then I came across a section that said petite section. And I'm like, okay, there's a petite section. Where the tall section at? Oh, crickets, because there's nowhere to be found. Okay, no tea, no shade. I'm absolutely happy that the petite girlies can have their own section. Like, that's good. We should be inclusive. But what about the tall women? What about the tall women who want to be included in these, pieces? Where's the tall section? It's just very interesting to me because it's like, why are you going to go and have, of course, you have your standard sizes. You're going to have a petite section. Why are we not catering? I mean, if you're catering to shorter heights, why are you not catering to taller heights? You know what I mean? It's one thing if you're just standard sizes and that's it. It's like, oh, you're catering to no one. Okay, I get that, I guess. But you're catering to one side of the spectrum. What about the other side? You see what I'm trying to say here? So here we are, and I have a massive question. Why don't big brands make clothing for tall women? It's like, y'all have a petite section. Why don't y'all have a tall section? Like, you have one, but you don't have the other. Make it make sense. Am I reaching by saying what I'm about to say? I don't know. But kind of discriminatory in a way. You know what I mean? So we're going to do a deep dive into this question today, try to get some answers here, because I know for a fact that I'm not the only one who's frustrated by this. In fact, there's probably like a whole colony of us. In fact, let's hear from another creator what they have to say about this.
Why aren't brands catering to tall women? What is the issue? I'm not the only one that's thinking this, but what is the struggle? Is it that it costs more money to make the clothes for tall women? You don't know how to make the clothes for tall women? Or you may think that it's not enough of us. Trust me, there are enough of us out there. You have a whole WNBA basketball team. They're tall. So why aren't brands catering to? I hope this message reaches some of them. And maybe they want to ask us tall women, what is it that they can do to make our shopping experiences better?
And you know, the issue with inclusivity has been a big thing for the past few years. I mean, this was especially highlighted with plus size clothing, which is definitely understandable because, you know, there are brands, a lot of brands that, you know, even to this day in 2024, to this day, what day am I recording this? I don't even have a calendar. Oh my gosh. September 22nd, 2024. There are still brands out there that only go up to a size XL or a double XL max. And even finding something in a double XL can be difficult. And I'm telling you, many people have been fighting for so hard for it to go past double XL, triple XL, quadruple XL, all of that stuff. And, you know, I've been seeing TikToks circulating, especially when I was doing research for this episode in particular. I've been seeing TikToks that say that if people notice that these brands are catering to the folks who need plus size clothing, then those people, like the standardized people, I guess you could say, the standardized people will think that the brand isn't cool anymore because they don't want to be associated with a brand, either associated with a brand that makes plus size clothing or associated with people who wear plus size clothing. I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm just going to include the clip that I found that said that, and that is going to explain it much better than I could.
A lot of brands don't want to expand past the size 20 because their straight size customers feel alienated and no longer feel like the brand is cool because now it is associated with larger bodies.
So this is Grizel, the owner of Reb Dolls. If you are unfamiliar, go check them out. They carry straight sizes and plus sizes, I believe up to a size 6X. And they have a lot of styles that you probably have not seen available in plus sizes before, which is why I love them. I have worked with them before. I have purchased things on my own, go do all the things, and she is awesome and posts a lot of really good content. But for all you people who think that, you know, plus sizes just don't sell, or it costs too much to add all that fabric, or whatever excuses you have been giving us, this is the reason. So anyway, she is looking for investors to expand her brand, and she met with a brand, and this is the reasoning that they gave her. Brands don't want to expand because straight size people don't want to wear the same clothing as plus size people, because once that happens, it's not cool anymore for fat people to own the same clothing.
So I'm like, is that potentially the case here? Do big brands not cater to tall women because if other people see that they're catering to tall women, then it's just gonna be like, oh, this brand isn't cool anymore. I don't want to be associated with these tall freaks or whatever. Like, is that the case? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm also reaching with that assumption as well. But I mean, if they consider it to be the case with plus size people, is that potentially what's going on with I don't know. But we've heard many excuses as to why these brands don't make tall clothing sizes. Too much money, extra fabric, too niche of a market, logistical challenges, among other things. The reality is they think that we're not a big enough, important enough, or profitable enough group to cater to. And there are many articles on this, but I'm pretty sure we all know, like, let's just say that about 1% of the American woman population is 6 feet and up. To them, when they see that 1%, they're like, oh, that's irrelevant because it's literally just 1%. Like, that's such a small number. Why are we going to try to cater to 1% when most of the other country is shorter than that? When in reality, when you look at that 1%, that's still over a million women. That's still over a million women that want to buy clothes that look nice and also fit them and fit their length. And then on top of that, I feel like something that they don't really think too much about is that, yes, people can be average height or, just like not seen as super tall, but they can be like a little bit above average and still have long limbs. Like there are women out there who still are like 5'7", 5'8", 5'6", even, that have longer legs than than the people who are around the same height as them. They could still have longer legs, they could still have longer arms, they could still have longer torsos, just because they're not at the 6 foot and up range or the 5'10", 5'9" and up range or whatever you want to call it. That doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have longer limbs that they still need to find clothes for. At this point, I just think that they should just admit that it is hard for them. It may be a challenge for them, and they just don't think that we're an important enough group to take on that challenge for it. That makes sense. Because they see that 1% and they're like, we don't need to do anything for these people. It's just 1%. They're gonna be fine. So they're just rolling with the one size fits all mentality, and it's annoying. Like, it singles us out and it reinforces the idea that women should fit into the same mold, and that is just getting tired at this point. And listen, by all means, I'm not someone who has a clothing brand. Like, I don't know the struggles of starting a clothing brand and dealing with fabrics and manufacturers and all that stuff. So I'm also going to say that, yes, like, I don't understand the challenges, so I don't know how hard it's going to be able to cater to all of that. But if you're a big brand, I'm sure you have the money to invest something, just something, in getting extra fabric or getting that extra length. You know what I mean? It's one thing if it's a smaller clothing brand, I get it, but you guys are like multi-million-dollar companies. Like, I'm assuming, that's what I'm assuming, that you guys are making a bunch of profit and you're able to reinvest in something that can cater to many different body types. And listen, there are some brands that are actually trying to cater to the taller target market as well as they're trying to cater to the shorter target market, and I definitely give them that. I mean, you have American Eagle, you have Old Navy, you have Gap. Like, some of y'all are actually coming along, and the brands that I just mentioned are chef's kiss. Like, they know what they're doing with their long and extra long sizes or tall sizes. But some of y'all are fake trying. Okay, I actually stumbled across a TikTok video of this girl. She was trying on pants that was labeled as tall, and she was 5'9". She stumbled upon pants that was labeled as tall, and in reality, the jeans were not tall. I'm gonna roll the video. If you're watching the video version, I'm gonna roll this clip so you can visually see it and it will make sense.
And to the fashion brands that think that they're making tall jeans for the tall girlies, this is not what I mean.
But for people who are watching the audio version, essentially in the video, the jeans were barely reaching her ankles and they weren't fitting the way that they were supposed to, because she had to adjust it a certain way in order for it to actually just barely reach her ankles. So essentially, when they say tall, the inseam in reality isn't really long enough. And in my personal opinion, fake trying is honestly worse than not trying at all. Like, if you're saying that something is tall, actually make it tall. 30-inch inseam isn't tall, 32-inch inseam isn't tall, 33-inch inseam isn't tall, 34-inch inseam is getting there but still isn't tall. I need me at least a 36-inch inseam. At least. Big brands are doing slightly better with the tall inclusivity than they were several years ago, but they're not moving at a fast enough pace. We need tall clothing like yesterday. And that's why I'm so grateful that there are small, tall businesses out there that are making it happen for us. So you know what? Let's put each other on. What small, tall clothing brands are we shopping from in 2024 and 2025? We need to make it more widely known that there are brands out there that cater to us tall women and only us tall women. We got Tall Size that features quite a few brands like Elevated Closet and Prissy Duck. We got American Tall, Long Tall Sally, Amali Tolly. I hope I'm saying that correctly. correctly. These amazing brands deserve so much more exposure because they're doing so much good for the tall community. Let's hear from one of these brands.
Tall women have been traumatized by the shopping experience forever. My name is Jordan. I'm 6'4", and I'm the owner of the Elevated Closet, and it is a clothing brand specifically for tall women. And we are one of the very few options that tall women have. And tall can be very subjective. It could be 5'8" all the way to 6'8", or taller. It is very difficult, and it's hard for some people to understand quite the limited options that we have. So I think I know of 20 to 30 tall brands, and that doesn't include the mainstream stores that try to say that they have tall options by adding an inch or two to the bottom of things and saying that they have tall. This is brands specifically making clothes for tall women. There's 1% of women in the US that are over 6 feet tall, and it's 0.01% of that are 6'2" and taller, but that's still a lot of women who don't have clothing to fit them properly. So small brands like me are popping up to take care of the problem.
So the whole point of this episode is really just to bring awareness to the fact that big brands could be doing better. I'm pretty sure they have the budget for it. They just don't really see us as a group that's important enough to cater to. That's just personally what I think, because think about it. You're making products that cater to shorter limbs. Why not just make products that, if you only want to go for one particular size, why not make products that are extra long, that are longer, cater to the tall sizes, but the shorter girlies can also buy it and just have it tailored themselves. They can have it hemmed. They can have the extra fabric cut off. Doesn't that make more sense? Because then you're able to cater to the taller sizes, the ones with the longer limbs, the longer arms, the longer torsos, the longer legs. But then you still have products that shorter women can wear because they can have it tailored and hemmed. To be fair, most people need to have their clothing tailored and hemmed anyways. So in the example that I used with the 1%, they're that's too small of a group. That's not important. We have bigger fish to fry. We have more important target markets to cater to. And I don't know, it just feels bad. It makes us feel bad. It's dang, we're really not that important to you guys. I spoke about this a little bit with one of my guests in a previous episode. Her name is Tori. She's 6 foot a bay on Instagram. Shout out to you if you're listening to this. And she hit it right on the nail that these big brands are just not moving at the pace that we need them to. And that's why we should definitely support small, tall businesses. So the point of this episode is to just really bring awareness to this and just to speak about it. I think that a major way to fix an issue is to bring awareness to it and speak about it. And the more we talk about it, the more likely it is that, there's going to be a solution at some point down the road. Hopefully sooner rather than later, but I guess we'll see. So anyways, thank you for tuning into this episode. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. As always, feel free to hit me up on my socials at a Tall Girls Podcast, and we could talk about this. We can complain about this. What are your thoughts? Do you think that there are other reasons as to why clothing brands just don't make clothing for tall women? They don't make tall clothing sizes. Do you think there are other reasons behind it? Have you heard anything else? Are there also any other brands that actually, bigger brands that are now catering to tall sizes that I didn't mention? Let's chat about this. Let's talk about this. My DMs are open, so make sure you hit me up. All my socials and everything is going to be in the description. And until then, I'll catch you in the next one. Good night and goodbye.